Oh, I think we're going live in
Now,
Instagram as well, but it's not showing go live. It's okay. We're live where we are live. The technology gremlins are just going to have to take a break. So, I'm Amanda Beth and I'm joined with Andy Nam, and we are going to tackle it today. Because have you ever noticed how much energy is carried in the words, I'll do it? Not just the words themselves, but whether we actually follow through. And I'm following through despite technology. We're coming to you a little late today. But because when we say we'll show up, we'll help, we'll call, we'll check in, we'll fix the thing, we'll make the plan, or be there, our word becomes part of our energy. And today, I want to talk about something that feels simple, but is very deeply healing. Your word matters. Your word is your energy. And when your word matches your action, that's integrity in motion. Welcome to Transformation Tuesday. Today I'm talking about the healing power of showing up. And I appreciate you for showing up, Andy, as we worked through the technology. Oh, it is always something, isn't it?
it
Always,
is, it
always,
is.
always. So if you think about it, sometimes you're not the builder, but you're the bridge when it comes to doing things and following through. What do you think about that whole follow through part of things?
It it's a double-edged sword, because I think sometimes when you're falling through doing over promises, it can be a problem. I think both of us seem to have that problem sometimes. We say yes more than we need to, and we definitely follow through. That's something that's good with us, but a lot of times, um, it could be frustrating also because I've been booking a lot of calls lately and no show up, nothing, like just crickets. And my rule of thumb is if we have a meeting and you don't show up in 5, 10 minutes, I'm done. Right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
wait around till you're there. And then, I text the person, oh, I'm not feeling well. I was like, you could have given me a heads up, right? You
Yeah,
just
you
don't show
didn't
up,
you
right?
didn't not feel, and in your sessions and some of mine, they're in person. So people have
Yeah.
a drive time. They know they're not making it.
Yes, exactly.
And it makes it so frustration. So the first question today is, do you still believe in a person's word matters? So if those of you who are watching us, catching us a little late or on the replay, drop in the comments if you believe that what someone says, I'll be there, I'll help, I'll take care of it. Do those words still carry weight? Because like you said a minute ago, Andy, we trust people at their word, you
Yes.
know? Um, and when you look at so many things, in high school, it was SWAC, sealed with a kiss.
Yes.
Um, when and and the part of wedding vows, the kiss is the sealing of the deal,
Hmm.
of making it true, making it just, a handshake. There's all those physical gestures
Hmm.
that, they your word should count without having to go through all of those words. They're not just words,
Hmm.
and I think that sometimes we get too casual in things we say. I'll check on that.
Yeah.
I'll help you with that. We
Hmm.
should get together. I'll take care of it,
Hmm.
And then for me, when I say it in the moment, I very much mean it. I deeply mean I'm going to do those things. But then we get busy, we get distracted, and we forget. And then there's that possibility that we assume somebody else is going to take care of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I know there's a lot of times that I'll go, "Oh, I was supposed to do that. So let me hop in and do it, or let me find someone else who can take care of it."
Hmm.
You know? And I'm guilty of that, and then I feel guilty and I feel shame that I didn't follow through with my words. And I think that some people don't still have that commitment.
Hmm.
So words aren't empty. They create expectation. They create trust. They create that energetic connection, and they create responsibility. When you say it, you need to follow through with it. And I think that when our actions match our words, that's what creates that safety. when people feel safe with us. You say, I'm going to be there. And
Hmm.
for you, especially with your new hyperbaric chamber, you're not to capacity where you're there day in, day out, waiting for
Hmm.
people to come. It's like with the float center. People, when they're there for a length of time, but it's not
Exactly.
even necessarily that you're interacting with them.
Hmm.
I thought of you this weekend. I was at the Des Moines Metaphysical Show, and there was a fellow there that had a hyperbaric. It was like a portable hyperbaric chamber.
Okay.
With it looked like an oversized tennis shoe. Those like lace up tennis shoes. The whole thing
Correct.
was
Correct. Yep.
there.
Yep. Yep.
And it was like, and I heard him talking to someone. He says, "No, I don't bring the whole pump and everything. It's just this because of the liability of of taking it to a psychic fair and doing it in public. But it was to promote his business. But still, it takes time for us to get to the location, to
Mhm.
be there, to have everything ready, waiting for people to come. And it does, it feels very disrespectful to me when people no show. I had a no show yesterday, and yeah, you're texting and you're like, was my
Yeah,
calendar wrong?
exactly.
So your word is alignment. And have you ever had somebody keep their word in a way that really mattered to you? Maybe they showed up, maybe they checked in, they remembered something important, and or maybe they just helped when you really needed it.
Hmm.
Can you think of times when people pulled through, especially when you didn't expect them to?
Recently with you and Christy, like I said, you guys are my ride and die. And a lot of times, if I'm feeling down or just bouncing some ideas in the health space, holistic space, business space, even relationship space, both you and Christy's come down, come through many times. I ask for a little help, and you always over deliver. And I think that's really where your friend and network and community of coaches or mentors really can come in and change your life, because you know we have so many friends that we grew up with that we think that is, oh, my best friends forever. We said that in high school and elementary school. And to be honest, when's the last time you spoke with them?
Yeah.
Right? And would they push you out of the way of a car about to hit you now when they did back in high school? They're probably not going to do it now. So
I don't know that it's that they don't. I think that it's that awareness that we all get so busy, so overwhelmed, and so overcommitted. And I guess
yes.
that's where I want to encourage us before we fall into that habit of, I'll take care of it, I'll
Hmm.
check on it. It's kind of like when people pop, I love you before it really, and it gets said so often that it
Yes.
kind of doesn't have the same weight.
Correct, correct. I love
So
that.
thinking about that when you say something to someone, you know, be be aware of what you're saying. Make sure that you have the energy to back it.
Hmm.
And because when people do follow through, you feel seen, you feel supported and relieved, you feel loved. And that whole safety thing, you feel safe that you can count on people to follow through. When they say they're going to do something, they're going to do it.
Hmm.
You feel remembered. Someone out of the blue calls you and says, "Hey, do you need me to push you out of the way of a car?" Um, feeling heard and respected. And for me, it's one of my bugaboos. It's respect. Um, that I want to respect someone when I say that I'm going to do something. I will do it.
Correct, correct.
Sometimes the timing's off, and that gets into the busyness. But I'm gonna circle back, and I will be there. Chris every once in a while he'll laugh. He says, "Yeah, you said you would do it." And I joke with him, and I say, "Yeah, you say you're going to do it, but we don't live in the same time zone." Um, so behind this, and this is a topic that I did prepare for last week, and another friend who said, I need you to be here." And I
Mhm,
said, they say, "Can I make you my emergency contact?" And it's like, okay, what does that involve? Last week it involved taking them to the hospital
mhm,
for some medical care, and I just there was no way I could come and do that. So, and this is on the heels of helping that very same friend when we said we will help you It was a matter of building um, platform steps so they could get in and out of their home safely,
Oh wow. Okay.
um, more easily. And I wasn't the person to build the steps. That wasn't my forte,
Hmm.
but I was there. I was there to help with the planning. I was
Correct.
there to help with the task of the moving parts and coordinating what everyone needed. I was there to think through, how realistic does this work? When you start building steps and platforms that are going to be out in the weather, and we get all four seasons sometimes in the same day. Um, but I was also there just to support the process. And I was there because we said we would be there,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's the whole message. We showed up, we did what we said we were going to do, and that really matters. And it feels good to help and to do what was available. Did we have brand new pre-made steps that cost lots of money? No. We put together the resources that we had and we turned it into something. So, although I wasn't the builder, I was the bridge. And sometimes that's where our communication and where our energy is best used. Being able to put something together for someone.
I agree. I agree.
So I think, this is the message because it releases us from the idea that we have to know everything before we can help. I didn't need to know how to build steps. I needed to know there was a need and there was a possibility to create
Hmm.
safety, physical safety for that person. And I think that I wasn't the person with the tools or the technical skills or the final answer, but I saw the need. I made the calls. I pulled the things together to do that. You think of that, Andy, where you've been a bridge where maybe it wasn't something you could do, but you could pull it together?
Um, I'm just trying to think of it in many ways, uh, because I think as a bridge, many times I am a bridge between siblings because they don't talk to each other, and I feel like the middleman, and sometimes it helps getting across because I'm the youngest, so I'm always the one loved by all the siblings and the parents. But some parents don't get along with siblings, some siblings don't get, it's crazy. But yeah, I think that's probably true of a lot of big families,
Hmm.
right? That we could be the bridge among our siblings or a family, right? And I think it's really quite important, right? Because like, my mom will always say, oh, so and so is such a shitty son, never calls me, right? And yet I get along with them. Oh, he loves you, he's doing this all for you, and then it calms my mom down, some of it may be lies, but it keeps them both happy, right?
Well, I don't know
So,
that it's lies because at some level, they do love him.
oh, the loving
Yeah.
part for sure, but sometimes I embellish a little bit just to try to
Just in
smooth it
case.
out, right? And I'm
Yeah.
sure my brothers do the same for me too when things aren't going so smooth because that's the thing with family, right? We love them to death, but sometimes we really hate them,
Yeah.
uh, unfortunately, right? So
And I look at,
definitely.
my job as a social worker
Hmm.
many, many years ago, my first career out of college. And there were a lot of things that families needed, that people needed that I couldn't do, but
Hmm.
I knew who to call.
Correct.
And then when I had the signing graphics business, it's like if there was something my customers were looking for and it wasn't a service that I offered, but
Hmm.
I knew they needed it. So I'd make some phone calls,
Oh, for sure.
And so that's kind of the bridge energy that we're kind of looking for, that
Mhm.
energy to bring things together. It doesn't have to be the whole destination, but if it
Right.
helps someone get from one point to the next point, and I remember feeling, oh, frustrated. The local communities will have cancer closets
Hmm.
where there's supplies that someone who is going through cancer treatment or other medical things
Correct.
that they need a walker, they need crutches, they need things that you're only going to need for a short time, and the
Hmm.
expense of those durable medical goods. And it was like, okay, in the particular incident I'm thinking of, I called and said, "Can you provide this?" And like, "Well, no, they don't live in our county." I'm like,
Hmm.
"Okay, who's in the neighboring county for me to call?" "Well, we don't know."
Wow. Yeah.
And to this day, and that has been probably every bit of 20 years ago, and to this day, I think of that.
Hmm.
You know, I would think that you would want to know who could connect people because county lines should not be the end of your word.
I agree.
Make a phone call,
Hmm.
encourage them, help people to take the next step, be present and listen. So, everybody's listening along today, drop bridge in the comments if you've ever played that role for someone else, where you've been able to be that bridge to
Hmm.
connect people. And Andy, you're bringing people in for the hyperbaric chamber. Sometimes what they need may not be hyperbaric. They may need something else. And I'm sure you have a list. You have that little black book, that Rolodex of the providers that can meet those other
For
needs.
sure. Exactly. For sure.
Yeah. So it comes down to that whole see something, say something. Hey, I saw you were struggling with that. Have you
Yes.
considered? Would you think about, especially when it's even strangers? And I know sometimes society is a little kind of funny about that, of not wanting to get involved. I remember being in a car accident where we were at the four-way local stop I just dropped my daughter off for school, and it was my turn to go, and someone came through. They didn't stop, they didn't do anything. This is a small community. I
Hmm.
recognized
Who that was?
who else was sitting at that four-way stop.
Hmm.
They saw me get hit. They saw this person not slow down or anything. This person came from nowhere, and no one would give a statement.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And then the law officers wanted to know because she was driving the person was not from the community, driving an unregistered vehicle with no insurance, and wanted to know if I thought she should have a ticket in a school zone. Seriously. I was like, yeah, you need to give her a ticket because if you don't, I might be spending a few nights with you, because I was so angered and I was
Right.
just so thankful my daughter wasn't there. And it wasn't a big car wreck. It was just the point. And I
Correct.
think that people have been stepping back. They don't want to be a part of things. And so, um, being aware of that. So when you do say something, your word needs to have
Matters.
that
Definitely.
action and that alignment, because so many people are stepping out of
Hmm.
that. So see the need, speak up with compassion, and take the right action, because awareness is important, but it's the action is where that healing begins. And it doesn't have to be huge. It might be
Hmm.
just checking in, making a call, offering somebody a ride. It might be asking what you need. And sometimes when people are in really difficult place, you hear about the funeral food.
No.
So when someone's been through a big crisis and you say, "What can I do? What do you need?"
Hmm.
When they've been in a big thing, they are so lost. It's such a tailspin. They can't tell you what they need. So sometimes it's just bringing them food.
Mm.
If you're not sure about their diet, get them some gift cards so they can order from
Correct.
places that deliver. Um, and I know funeral food also goes with, funeral groceries, just providing, if you don't provide them with a casserole, provide them with those groceries. And when funerals happen, you need a lot of toilet paper, you need paper plates, you need napkins
Hmm.
and plastic silverware, because a lot of people are going to be coming to your home that you don't know,
Correct.
and you don't have time for those things.
Hmm.
So it's kind of like saying, I don't know how to fix it, but I'm going to help find someone who can.
Correct.
It could be showing up with tools, with lunch.
Hmm.
Oftentimes, just showing up with patience and presence.
Hmm.
Just being there when you see someone needs something. You can say, I don't know what you need, but I'm here.
Exactly. I agree.
And leaving that door open. And then, but if you're going to show up with a presence, you also need to show up with your Rolodex of contacts. Of
Yes.
if it's something that I can't do, I don't have to personally solve everything. But this is the compassion moving into action. and seeing the changes, being willing to really act on that. That's your integrity, and that's where I connect to that energy. It's Integrity is not just a moral idea; it's an energetic alignment. So you have your words, and then you have your action, and you're really completing that cycle there. And like I say, your action doesn't mean that you take care of it, but you're lining up the ducks, so that
Correct.
things
Correct.
can be taken care of. So that's when your words are matching your actions, then your energy becomes cleaner and clearer. It's less static, confusion, less guilt. That's for sure. Because I know if I take on an obligation and I say, oh, yeah, I can do that. And then I realize my calendar, I've double booked myself. I'm that person who's going to find someone who can take care of it, um, and work better next time not to double book myself. And and as business owners, Andy, I think that's our frustration when someone doesn't take the time to say, I'm not feeling well, I'm not going to be able to make it. One, it would open up the slot for another person.
Exactly.
Two, it would, you know, allow us opportunities to do other things with our time. You know, I've learned I can do a lot from my laptop and about anywhere in the world.
Exactly. It's so true.
So, it doesn't always, but that's that honesty and
Right.
people having integrity, because the next time that person calls to schedule after there's been a no-show or two, it makes it really hard to put them in our books.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, a lot of times I find those are the individuals who need our services the most. So it's really hard for me to charge the no-show charge, to say no in the future. It's like, all right, but you're gonna be here, right? And then, how do I need to remind you? What works? What works best? Um, so I think that that's kind of, it's if you're not in alignment, if it is not in your comfort zone to help other people, that's okay too. I'm not saying everyone needs to go out and become a helper buddy,
Yeah.
but if you say you're going to do it, follow through. Have that integrity to do that. Do you find overextending yourself is not always being helpful either? Is it easier for you to say yes and overextend yourself, or is it harder to just say no and find someone else?
I agree. And as business owners, I think most of us, it's easier to say yes, but the power is in saying no, right? Not just for yourself, but a lot of times I think when people are saying yes, you're doing, a shoddy job helping them while you're promising them. You'd be better off saying no and helping them later down the road type of deal. And
Yeah.
regardless, whichever way, it doesn't have to be health, right? It could be building that the steps, right? Well, I don't got the proper tool. I'm just gonna wing it with the tools I have. Now you got shoddy steps, right? So, there are many times that and I'm guilty as charged when I said yes, when I think about it, as this is not the right time for this, but I'll love to help you out, just not today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we bring in that next wave of reality, and that there is a difference between helping and rescuing. That's really important too. And I have a long track history of helping people. I'll put my neck on the line, and I will help you as long as you're helping yourself.
Correct.
And when I look back and you're miles behind and you're not helping yourself, it makes it very hard for me to continue to help you. And showing up for others doesn't mean abandoning yourself. It doesn't mean carrying everyone else's life on your back. Being a bridge doesn't mean becoming their whole road.
Correct.
And so that's that finite difference in helping versus rescuing. Um, Helping honors both people. It doesn't put you out, and it doesn't disempower them. When we do too much for other people, we disempower them. I was just talking this last weekend. I read for a preschool teacher, and she loves to do for everyone. And we talked about how disempowering it is of those preschoolers if we're doing everything for them.
Hmm.
You know, we have to let them learn, let them grow, let them develop their skills.
Correct.
And of course, we transfer this into to adult life as to where we disempower people
Hmm.
when we're constantly rescuing them. It creates exhaustion in us. It
Hmm.
also creates dependency, that they start becoming dependent on us. And on the heels of that becomes some resentment.
Correct. Correct. I agree. I agree. I think we're taking away their ability to grow,
Hmm.
right? And I think that's really important. There's something about giving a helping hand to help them through rough, or teaching them a lesson how to do it right. But doing it all for them is not necessarily the right way, because at some point in time, they're going to run into that same situation, and we're not always going to be there for them, right? So
Right.
for them to
Right.
learn and grow, I think that's so important too. So I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Supporting them on their journey is so important, being that bridge, but you don't want to be that bridge for them forever, in which case, they're not on their own path, right?
No, no,
Yeah.
they're not. So, that aligned helping is saying, I see you, I care, I'll do
Hmm.
what I can honestly do. And I'm not going to promise what I can't give, and I will not use helping as a way to avoid my own needs. And I think that
Correct.
so many of us, myself, I'm very guilty of that. I'm too busy helping everybody else. I can't take care of me. I don't get any sleep. I don't eat. I don't take care of my own house because I'm busy doing it all for everyone else.
Correct.
And I think that that's kind of a trap we get into.
Hmm.
It's so easier to go clean my girlfriend's house than it is to clean my own. No, I don't clean her house. But that type of thing, it's easier for me to go do for others
Hmm.
than to look inside.
Yes.
So having that clean energy, that integrity, and compassion with boundaries.
Hmm.
We come back to those boundaries. Um, your yes is sacred when your no is honest.
I love that.
So, and let's bring us up to our angel card. Andy and I, we recorded before, and we had some other issues. we're we're getting through all of this. Today's angel card is the angel of joy. Now I want to bring choo-choo. The angel says, I feel radiance of joy through my whole being. I feel the joy of being who I am here and now. Angels fly because they cannot be pulled down by the gravity imposed gloominess. Joy is the light luminous, it comes without creating attachment or division. Let us be like the joy as it flies, and we will be winged like the angels. And so I love what this card says about today, and again, I put this presentation together, what I wanted to talk about. I pull a card and I was like, what's this got to do with it? And it's like, no, it does. It reminds us that showing up doesn't have to come from heaviness.
Hmm.
Helping doesn't come from obligation. Integrity doesn't have to feel like a burden. And if any of those things, if it's obligations, burden is taking you out, then reevaluate the things that you're doing. We can always change our path here. Um, there's joy in being useful, being able to help, and knowing that your presence mattered, doing what you said you would do, that there is a level of joy with that. And if we're helping from a level of alignment instead of resentment, there's a lot of light and joy there. So it's not pretending everything's perfect. That radiance comes from your energy when you're clear, your heart is open, and your actions are aligned. So, what are some things that you have felt some joy in just being able to show up for, Andy?
Today's show, to be honest.
Today's show, absolutely.
I've been missing your show, and I was just telling you, it always gives the after effect of lifting me up for the rest of the day. And the energy is real. I think that's a lot of people don't realize that is there's so much going on around us, and unfortunately, we concentrate on the negative energy. And sometimes, even though we see the positive energy, we don't know how to take advantage of it. And I find whenever I'm around positive people, especially you as an energy healer, I feel it. I literally feel, it's almost like you plugging me into a wall, like charging my iPhone or charging my Tesla. I actually feel charged up, and I was actually really looking forward to it this morning. But yeah, I think that is something that people need to be, more aware of, is their surroundings, right? And what actually does charge them, lift them up.
Yeah, what are you putting out there to receive back?
Yeah.
You know, when we're down and out, we really need to look for that silver lining,
Mm.
and keep looking for the positives. So, oh, we've covered a lot. We've covered a lot. I don't want anybody to feel that I'm um, assigning things to do. If it's not your vibe
Hmm.
to be a bridge for someone else, then be a bridge for yourself,
Hmm.
you know? So yeah, let's take a deep breath and close your eyes if you're somewhere where it's safe. You don't have to, but if you're able to, soften your shoulders, take in a deep breath, and exhale that. Exhale that deeply. Let all of that gicky air out. Take in another breath and exhale. So I'd like you to ask yourself, where have your words and actions been out of alignment? No shame, no blame, just awareness. Take in another breath and let that all out. Think a little bit deeper where you maybe have overpromised, you've avoided follow through, said yes when you really meant no. Where have you stayed quiet when you could have helped connect a next step? I want you to place your attention to your heart chakra, big, beautiful green heart chakra. And repeat silently or out loud. I honor the power of my word. I allow my yes to be honest. I allow my no to be clean. I release the need to overpromise. I release the weight of self-imposed gloominess. I allow joy to return to my actions. I can show up with love and boundaries. I choose aligned action. I choose integrity. I choose joy. Take another nice deep breath and let that settle in. So, the theta that comes to me, and it's been coming to me all day, is to remove that obligation to save the world, the obligation to be everything to everyone else at the expense of yourself. So if you'd like that, we're going to remove that, do the forgiveness work with it as well. Just say yes out loud and in the
Yes.
comments. Okay. How's that feel, Andy?
Feels good.
Get you
How do you
grounded.
sleep?
So this is only Tuesday, but as we move through this week, I invite you to think about one simple way that you can show up. Not 10, not a giant list, one. One way. Maybe there's someone you can check on. Maybe there's a promise you need to complete, a message you need to send out to somebody. There might be one task that you need to finish. Someone who needs support. You can't do the whole thing, but you can be that bridge.
Hmm.
Connect them, encourage them, show them the next step. So, what is one word for how you want to show up this week? You can put it in the comments. And Andy, if you have that, I'm thinking words like present, honest, helpful, clear, cheerful, joyful, steady, reliable, compassionate.
I love it. I love it.
All of those. Yeah. So, if you get stuck, you need more help, always reach out, contact me at amandabethhealing.com. We can do a discovery call and see how I can bridge you to the services that are best fit for what you need. Also, today, let me get my controls back where I can see them. Today is the release of the my companion guide. It's not really a companion. It's a stepping into power. Are we seeing it, Andy? We're not
Not
seeing it.
yet. There it is.
Stepping into power, the reflection guide. So, this is a reflection guide. It has activities that go along with the chapters in the book, but it also has got some really great provoking activities. It's kind of, I want to say it's like an adult coloring book. There's no page numbers. Just open it up to a page and do an activity and explore so that you can do your growth. It can be a companion to the book, Stepping into Power. It can just also be however you need that to be used. But that is released today.
I love it.
It is available on Amazon. And let's see, this Friday I will be at Holistic Gypsy in Mount Pleasant for pop up readings and book signing. And Andy, you've got tonight Chronic Health Collective is tonight at 7. Tell me about that.
Yes, we have our new coach, Eileen McDonald. She's going to be teaching us, more importantly, how to breathe. And it's been so interesting because we all talk about oxygen, how important oxygen is. You know, I have a hyperbaric chamber after all, but at the same time, how much CO2 that's actually in your blood is important too. And I realized if you don't actually have enough CO2, you can actually take advantage of the oxygen. You would think that you want less and more oxygen, but it's just like life. Everything has to be a perfect balance.
Balance. Yep.
And so many of us are so stressed out that we are breathing too quickly. We're not doing the proper breathing, the breath control. Uh, Guilty, you know, like when things get stressful, even we do it, right?
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be a very fun episode because a lot of people, they, like I said, all they think about is oxygen, and they don't talk about CO2, and CO2 is just as important as oxygen. So definitely reach out tonight. It's going to be on E360 TV tonight at 7 p.m. You know, of course, it's going to stream on our, you know, on YouTube, Facebook Live, and LinkedIn too, whichever platform is easiest for people to check in.
Awesome. Awesome. Sounds great. All right. Well, we will be back again next week, 11:30 Central Time for Transformation Tuesday, barring any technical difficulties or other things that are just out of our control. But have a great, beautiful day and enjoy everything that you do. Bring that joy, bring that light. Look for the silver linings. They get better. They get better as you go. And definitely reach out to myself, to Andy, or anyone else on the Chronic Health Collective. Just reach out. You do not have to go through any of this in life all alone. So thanks.